Bulldog's head stuck in iron bars. What baby did next will leave you in taze. The Bulldog lay helplessly on ground, his head wedged between the rusted iron bars of an old, weathered fence. The awkward angle of his body, his paws digging frantically at the metal, spoke of a desperation that had built over hours of struggling. His wide, round eyes were filled with panic, his breath coming in shallow, ragged gasps. A soft whimper escaped him, barely louder than a whisper, but full of fear and frustration. It wasn't clear how long he had been trapped, but the signs were evident. The skin around his neck was raw from the constant tugging. The muscles in his body twitched with each attempt to pull free, but the gap was too narrow, the iron too tight. He was stuck, in the quiet of the afternoon. The only sound was his faint, labored breathing, the occasional scrape of his paws against bars. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden light across the yard, but the Bulldog remained motionless, save for the slow rise and fall of his chest. The rescuers arrived, moving with gentle urgency. One of them saw the dog almost immediately, crouching down to assess the situation. His heart sank at the sight. The dog's distress was clear, his body stiff with the strain of being trapped for so long. The Bulldog's eyes flicked toward the rescuer, momentarily frozen as if not sure whether to trust the presence now before him. "Easy now, boy," the rescuer whispered, his voice low and calming. He could see the tension in the Bulldog's body, the fear of being touched. But the dog didn't pull away. He was exhausted, physically and emotionally drained from his struggle, and seemed to relax just slightly at the sound of the rescuer's voice. The man gently approached the dog, his hands moving slowly, trying to avoid startling him further. The Bulldog's head was still stuck, his breathing shallow and quick, but the calmness of the rescuer's voice seemed to reach him. There was a slight quiver in the dog's body, but he remained still as the rescue worked to widen the gap between the iron bars. "You're going to be all right," the rescuer murmured softly, his hands steady as they gently pressed against the rusted metal, working to loosen it. With careful precision, the gap widened just enough for the rescuer to gently slide his hand around the Bulldog's neck, feeling for the right angle to free him. With one last gentle pull, the dog's head slipped free. He collapsed forward onto the grass, breathing deeply as if he had just realized he was no longer trapped. His body shuddered, his muscles still tense, but no longer in the violent struggle that had marked his earlier movements. He lay there for a moment, still, his chest rising and falling in slow, deep breaths. The rescuer stayed beside him, his hand gently resting on the Bulldog's back, offering reassurance. "You're safe now," he whispered, watching as the Bulldog's trembling slowed and his body began to relax. It wasn't a sudden recovery, but a quiet one. The dog didn't move, still laying on the grass, the weight of his ordeal settling around him. There was no dramatic reunion or moment of joy, just a soft, quiet relief in the stillness that followed the pain. The Bulldog's head turned slightly, his eyes meeting the rescuer's. There was no fear there now, only a soft trust, fragile but growing. In that moment, the bond had already begun. The Bulldog remained still, his body worn from the stress of his ordeal. His muscles were tight, but the strain of his earlier struggle seemed to slowly release with each deep breath. The rescuer kept a careful distance, allowing him the space to adjust, his voice soft and calming in the quiet air. The sun hung low in the sky now, casting a golden light that warmed the ground where the dog lay, offering comfort after the tension of the rescue. As the Bulldog rested, there was a sudden rustling in the grass nearby. It was faint at first, almost unnoticeable, but it quickly grew louder. A small shape emerged from the underbrush, its movement slow and deliberate. It was another Bulldog, though smaller, a young puppy, her coat soft and slightly matted with dirt. She stopped a few paces away, her eyes wide as she observed the older dog. The puppy hesitated, her tiny body trembling with a mixture of curiosity and concern. She stepped forward cautiously, her tiny paws barely making a sound on the earth. The Bulldog's ears twitched at the movement, and his head turned toward her, his eyes softening as they met Hayes. There was a moment of quiet recognition, a bond that didn't need words to be understood. The puppy took another step forward, still uncertain, but the older dog didn't flinch. He remained still, allowing her to approach. When the puppy reached him, she gently nudged aside with a small, wet nose. The bulldog's body tensed slightly, but he didn't move away. Instead, after a brief moment, he exhaled a soft sigh and lowered his head, his tongue reaching out to lick the top of the puppy's head in a quiet, soothing gesture. The tenderness of the action spoke volumes. Despite the pain and fear he had endured, the bulldog was offering comfort, his calm presence now a silent reassurance for the little one who had wandered to him. The puppy responded in kind, her tiny paws tapping at his side, trying to nudge him once more. She was insistent, but not aggressive, just a small, gentle presence in his world, seeking to heal the wounds that could not be seen. The older dog let her nudge him again, a soft whimper escaping his throat as if to say, "I'm all right." There was no rush in the moment, no frantic desire for attention, just a quiet reassurance of companionship. The bulldog's eyes closed for a moment, the comfort of the puppy's presence sinking in, as if he, too, had found something to hold on to. His body relaxed, the trembling lessening as he breathed in deeply, the simple act of being touched, of being cared for, beginning to ease his mind. The rescuer, watching from a distance, smiled softly. He could see the bond forming between the two animals, the quiet, healing touch that the puppy offered to the older dog. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't immediate. It was simply a presence, a gift of comfort in a time of need. "She's got you," the rescuer whispered, his voice barely above a breath. He didn't need to intervene. The two animals had already found each other, and in their small, unspoken way, they were healing together. The bulldog remained still, his eyes half-lidded as the puppy continued to nuzzle him gently. It was a quiet moment, a simple one, but it was enough. The bond between them, though new, was real, and in that bond, there was already the beginning of healing. Days passed, and the bulldog's strength slowly returned. His steps became more confident, his muscles loosening from the tension of his ordeal. The puppy stayed close, her playful energy a perfect contrast to his quieter, more cautious pace. Wherever he went, she followed, her presence a gentle reminder of the bond they had formed. One evening, as the sun set and the yard was bathed in a soft golden glow, the bulldog stood still, watching the horizon. The puppy sat beside him, nuzzling his side with a small, soft nose. Without a word, they shared a quiet understanding. She had healed him in ways that no one else could, and he, in turn, had become protective for her. The bulldog stood up, more steady now, and the puppy eagerly trotted ahead, her small body bounding with joy. Together, they walked toward the open gate, the world beyond stretching before them. The rescuer watched from a distance, a quiet sense of pride in his heart. As the bulldog and the puppy stepped into the fading light, the rescuer knew that their journey had only just begun. The bond they shared, unspoken but undeniable, had healed them both. And with that, they walked into the future together.